unselect this should be setting that through this. So this dot set selected weapon ID list. Well, the weapon ID list is not defined. Actually, that's because we're not in this context. Let's put a breakpoint there and put one here. And we'll refresh. Restart, whatever you want to call it. I want to see what WEP list is, WEP ID list is. Something is not working there. It's kind of interesting that it's saying that that's undefined, but it's not really undefined. It's the other thing that's undefined. So, well, we have to, start it first. Or actually, crap. That is what we want to do, because it is going to call this. So, it didn't even come to here. Build com list, which is part of the... So we're calling refresh on here. That's weapon list. I'm on the wrong one. I want the donor weapon list. So base weapon null, which is fine because we're not defining anything for that yet. Katana, synthesize. Now. Yeah, so once we go through all this, it's coming out to nothing. Why is that? That shouldn't happen. Because we're building this list up here, so that's, oh, we haven't set it yet, that's why. So the WEP list is minus the first element, which is right. First weapon. Well, second weapon technically in the list, but its index is 1. So that's minus the katana we have selected. That's fine, so continue. So now I'm going to click on it. So the WEP ID list is 0, 1, 2, and the index is 2. So, and the one we clicked on is 3, so that's right. So that's going to go to set selected donor weapon, which is just going to set the ID to that value. Or no, set selected donor weapon. Ah. Well, no, yeah. So the selected donor weapon is the ID, but we're also setting donor weapon to this as well. So we are actually pulling something for that. Let's actually put it there. So let's go ahead and follow that through. So it comes to here. So this becomes 3, which is right. And then this should get the katana that we're looking at, which it does. Then we come back out here, and we use that to go to here. And then we're passing that weapon to set donor weapon on status window, which is right. So we're passing through a weapon to there when it's expecting an ID. That's why it's coming up as what it is. So we need to come down here, and instead of passing through with the well, wherever it's at. instead of passing through with get weapon, we just want to pass through the ID of the weapon, and then the code over on the status window will actually pull the weapon from the game party weapons list itself. That was the problem. Because it was trying to, so what it was doing is it was taking the weapon object itself and trying to pull a weapon using that, and that's not actually an int, so it was basically failing. So that is probably why it was failing. I'm not going to say is why, but because of, you know, fastest prologue, there's still going to be something else wrong with it, but at least for part of it, that's probably part of the issue. Okay, do that, select that, we're going to do this and this. Holy crap. So that was on the select. Just on the select. Alright, so we got something else now. Level is not defined. So let's go find where that's at. That's way down there. That's in the gold, the setup costs window for synthesize. So, what row? What line is 2552? So that's down here. So I wonder if it's this that's saying that it's, because it went down here, but I'm not sure if, like, if I select this. Interesting. I wonder if that's what where the issue's at here. So on the donor wep level, and that's the first place it's used at. So are we setting the donor wep? We do have a set donor wep thing. Here's the thing there. Are we passing through an ID? Or are we passing through the bloody weapon again? So where are we calling this at? Well, actually, it's gonna. Well, yeah, we'll just have to go up and look because it's gonna be called in a bunch of places. So the scene is after we select synthesize from the action panes. That's gonna be here. So donor. Yeah, we're not setting the base weapon. We're saying the donor. We're saying the base weapon, but not the donor weapon. And that's what's going on. So we need to we need to add in the right window this time. On line 5 something. We need to add in a call to this underscore wep donor. Not this one. Wait. Selection of oh no, yeah, wrong place. Below that on the select the donor select. Okay, now we're setting that. We're setting this. Get selected donor weapon, which is passing back the ID, which is fine. So okay, let's go ahead and head back down then to that line and put a breakpoint. Oh, it's already one there. Okay, put one here, and we'll put one here as well. Actually, I'll put it there. Let's see what we're getting in. I fully expected this meant this much trouble when I did the recoding. This was a major restructuring how the windows were built and called and had to be manipulated, so when you go in and do that kind of stuff, you're going to break lots of things. Okay, we don't need this. We don't need that. Take out any breakpoints we don't actually need right now. So choose that one. Synthesize. Get rid of these. Continue. Select that one. Get rid of this. Continue. And okay. Alright, get rid of that. Or no, we don't want that. Okay, so weapon ID is null. Awesome. So, why is it null? So, weapon donor window. Well, weapon list, donor weapon list window, whatever it's called, this one. So, when we call get selected donor weapon, we're calling selected donor weapon. Let's put this here. Why are we getting a null back on that for? Set selected donor weapon. Oh. That's why. Why didn't that cause an error? Damn. Because it's a this, I guess. So you can define a variable with using this without having to actually define it properly. Which is, if you ask me, that breaks so many tenets of object-oriented programming. That's not funny. You shouldn't be able to define something without actually defining it. Or you shouldn't be able to initialize something without actually defining it. Because what this is doing, it's like, well, let's go, yeah, this is, set. So I was annoying to try and figure out where exactly stuff is at on this. So what we're doing with this is, we are in the select, not to select the set. We are, this doesn't exist anywhere else in this class. Instance of a class. It's only defined here. Well, it's only initialized here. It's never actually really defined. We need to change that to weapon, and that's why we're getting a weird value for. But that's also why this is working, because, well, actually, no. This shouldn't have been working. Okay. Now, let's see what happens. We'll go and disable all the breakpoints. Okay, there we go. Cool. That's working again now, so cancel. Alright, so let's go ahead and try actually doing this. I mean, if this is working now, if the actual window processing is working, everything else should work, because the underlying base code for these windows hasn't really changed. The only thing I've added in is to remove the passes of the weapon instances into the constructors, and then to create a function, well, two functions, possibly even three in some cases, to have the windows set up differently, and to pull the various weapon IDs that are stored on those windows out of them, and to update in other windows before we show them. But on the just to be absolutely sure that nothing is going to be stupid, we're going to try doing a full refine one synth and see what happens. Okay, there's the first refine. Now we gotta do the second. Okay, second refine. Go. Alright, now we're gonna go back out and select this, synthesize, select that. The cost only to figure out. Actually, no, the cost is what it should be, because we didn't. We aren't leveled up to level 10. I'm gonna have to make that a requirement, that you have to go to the max level of the weapon before you can synthesize it if you're going to. Alright, so now what's interesting here is that this didn't actually update. Or I should say, this didn't call the proper window. This is just the basic information window, the expanded information window, not the refined window, or the synth info window. Rather, not the synth window, I should say, or version of this window. Okay, is synth cannot be read. So let's go ahead and track this down. So it's on 191 of action pane. This .wep that is synth cannot be undefined. So this wep is undefined. Which is interesting. So we'll put a breakpoint here and see what we're passing in on this one for set weapon. If we're even passing it through at all, because I think maybe we aren't passing it. Well, it should still have the previous version of it, just synth should be the default value, which is whatever it is. set to in the game instance weapon object. So we got a couple things still to fix. Let's go back up here to... Actually, we can get rid of these. But as you'll notice, that didn't even get passed through. This didn't. And it might be because, well, no, it's still donor wep, isn't it? Maybe not. What is the variable name for the donor weapon? Nope, yeah, it's donor wep. And we are setting donor wep with an A. Awesome. So that's the problem there for that, I think. So it wasn't updating the window because it was going in there probably, but because the donor wep was not the right. Again, we were referencing a variable we hadn't actually created or defined yet, but we're instancing it because you can do that for some stupid reason. It wasn't that check wasn't passing, so it wasn't actually processing any of that. So it's on the status window. Donor wep. Okay. And then we had that other issue, which is interesting. So that's on the action panel, action pane, after we've said OK to synthesize. So synth OK. Set weapon this dot underscore weapon list wind dot get selected weapon. We're passing back the ID, passing that through, and then we are that's close enough. And then we are so set weapon, we're passing it through, and then so we'll put a breakpoint on 1918. Oh, we already have one there. Okay. All right. Let's have another look at that and see what's going on. So the name of the variable is correct. Wep. Something else is going on with that one. Alright, so grab 2. Grab some experience in gold, and then we will do our leveling up. Let's actually do let's turn off the breakpoints for now. So we gotta do a lot of work. We have to do a lot of stuff with the action pane, so it would be a pain, pun intended, to have that going right now. We're fine, and then the second one, level up. There we go. See, all of our stuff is showing up still properly now that we got the conditions right, or got the thing passing in correctly. So we click on OK. Is synth really? So it's not calling. It's not actually even calling this set weapon. We're using set weapon, not set selected weapon, right? So on synth OK. Yeah, we're calling set weapon. This wep act wind. Dot set weapon. Very interesting. Okay. So let's just try without doing all that. I just wanted to make sure that was working. We won't need that for this. The leveling up, that is. And refining. We can just select and then do a synthesize right away. Oh, we don't have any gold though to try that with. So there, we'll leave that there because we'll need that. Okay, so we have our durability up by 10, attack up by 5, and then our bleeding and poison increases. Alright, so we definitely do call this. So what does this get us? We get 1, which is correct. So window set weapon equals function wep. So now we're in here, that's 1, it's fine, 1 to 1. Then we're using this wid.gamePart.getWeapon. So let's actually grab this and make sure it's returning correctly. It is, game instance weapon. ID 1, that's right, ton of darkness. It's all correct. So then, what was it was this stuff down here. Is synthed. True. Okay, so action win.show. Activate and refreshed. So now let's do this ._wep, which is game instance weapon. Maybe that is synthed is wrong. S-Y-N-T-H-E-D. S-Y-N-T-H-E-D. True. Then we also call it down here. But it wasn't down here that was storing that error, I don't think. No, it didn't happen that time. Interesting. We also didn't do any of the stuff we did before. So let's go ahead and reset. And disable those. And do the whole level up refine thing. Because maybe somehow when we do it that way, we're invalidating something somehow. So we'll recreate the conditions that was failing in, and then see what the values are as we're looping through that. This is the life of a debugger of code. Trying all kinds of things to make it fail. Okay, so level up. Because what might be happening is it might not be updating the last selected weapon. So in other words, it might be showing that it's that weapon 4 is selected, but when we come over here, since it's removed, this still thinks it's there and it's trying to, it's trying to access it, but it doesn't actually exist when it tries to pull it in. So that's what I'm thinking, is that the weapon on the weapon list, it's not updating the selected thing properly. But we shall find out. That's like the only select. When we go back to select this, I'm thinking that it's not actually really selecting it properly. But we shall see. Okay, yeah. Oh, crap, I didn't turn the breakpoints on. Okay, we'll try this again. Alright, paying too much attention to explaining what I think is going on and not enough into actually what I'm doing. Which is not uncommon for programmers. Especially not when you've done this whole process so many times that you basically could do it in your sleep. I made it even easier by making these one click somehow. I think it's because I'm not doing a reselect or select or something. Or basically because it's the same window now, we're not recreating it, that's why. We do need to fix the cult window still. We're not removing the contents when we're refreshing it, so it's just rolling over itself again and again and again. Alright, so there's that and that. So there we go. Now select this and turn these back on. Synthesize. So in this instance, it works because there's a value there, or the weapon is properly done. Okay, here we go. So, let's refresh it. So, weapon list when gets, so we're still getting a 1, so it is still 1, that's right. Coming over here. Wep ID is 1. So this is getting an undefined. Refresh. Why is this getting an undefined? WID is 1. Game party weapons array. That's interesting. So the third weapon is still there. So we're calling the wrong ID to remove. So it's legitimately actually a correct error. It's not a bug per se. Not a bug here. I mean, it's behaving correctly. Basically, it's saying that the weapon no longer exists because we removed it. Because down here we're not passing the right ID to remove. It should be the donor weapon ID. So how are we setting that donor weapon ID for a synthesized window? Should be a set donor weapon here somewhere. Okay. Base and donor. PWID, DWID. So set base weapon, set donor weapon. Are we re-initializing or setting donor weapon somewhere? I don't think so. Just up here on the set